Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now without wasting your time, let's start the story while playing Minecraft in background. I've been married to Sarah for 8 years, and for 7 of those, I genuinely believed I was the luckiest man alive. But now, I'm sitting in an empty house, surrounded by boxes I haven't opened, because I'm not sure I want to know what's inside them. And I finally understand something. Luck was just Sarah's way of describing how well she had me trained. If you saw us at a grocery store, you'd think we were perfect, the kind of couple people quietly envy. I'm a high school architect. She's a freelance interior designer. We have a craftsman home that looks like it belongs in a magazine, and a golden retriever named Jasper who probably has a better life than most people. We were stable, predictable, safe. That's what everyone said. But there's something buried under that life. Not literally, at least. I don't think so. But figuratively. My entire marriage was built like a house on quicksand, and I didn't even feel it sinking. It started with the jasmine. Sarah has this scent. You don't forget it. It's a custom jasmine oil she gets from some boutique in the city. Sweet, heavy, the kind of smell that lingers long after she's gone. 6 months ago, I started noticing it in places it shouldn't be. On my shirts, after she'd done the laundry, in the backseat of my car, even though she hadn't used it in weeks. At first, I tried to ignore it, but it kept showing up, like a signature I didn't understand. You're just sensitive to it, Mark, she said one night, laughing softly. That laugh used to do something to me, something warm. Now, it just felt rehearsed. I'm messy, she added. I probably spilled some in the wash. I nodded. I wanted to believe her. I really did. Then the phone call started. Not the kind you see in movies. No heavy breathing, no whispering, just silence. My phone would ring at exactly 3 a.m. Private number. Every time. And when I answered, there would be nothing. Except breathing. Slow, steady. Almost peaceful. That was the worst part. It didn't sound panicked. It didn't sound threatening. It sounded calm. Like whoever it was knew exactly what they were doing. And every time it happened, Sarah was asleep next to me. Or at least, that's what I thought. One night, I decided not to answer. I let the phone vibrate on the nightstand. Just sat there, watching. The screen lit up the room in short pulses. Buzz. Pause. Buzz. I looked at her face. Eyes closed. Breathing steady. Perfect. Too perfect. Then the phone stopped. And her hand, the one resting on the duvet, it moved. Just slightly. A tiny twitch. Barely noticeable. But I saw it. And something inside me just dropped. The next morning, I found the burner phone. It was hidden inside the lining of her yoga bag, carefully tucked away, like it had always belonged there. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I'm an architect, and I know something most people don't. If you want to bring down a structure, you don't start with the front door. You find the load-bearing walls, and you take those out first. I checked the call logs. There was only one number. No name. No history. Just one repeated contact. It wasn't local. The area code was from a town 3 states away. A town I recognized immediately. It was where Sarah's ex-fiancé used to live. The one she told me about years ago. The one who died in a car accident 10 years ago. I remember just sitting there, staring at the number, feeling this cold, slow realization crawl up my spine. That's when I started digging. Old photos, travel videos, anything I could find. I needed something real, something that made sense. And then, I found it. A picture from our anniversary trip to Mexico. 3 years ago, we were standing near the beach bar, smiling, drinks in hand, looking like every other happy couple on vacation. But in the background, there was a man, wearing a blue linen shirt, standing by the bar, looking directly at the camera. I zoomed in. The image got grainy, distorted, but not enough. Not enough to hide his face. It was him, Julian, the man who was supposed to be dead. The room felt smaller after that, like the walls had shifted, just slightly, enough to remind me. I didn't understand the space I was living in. The next morning, I sat across from Sarah at the breakfast table. She was sipping her coffee. Calm, composed. Exactly the woman I thought I knew. Everything okay, honey? She asked. Her voice was soft, perfectly measured. Yeah, I said, and I hated how natural the lie sounded. I was just thinking about how much I love our life. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Not even close. Me too, Mark, she said quietly. I'd do anything to keep it this way. She paused, just for a second. Anything. That's when it hit me. Not like a shock. Not like panic. Something slower. Heavier. Fear. Because in that moment, I understood something I should have seen years ago. I wasn't the protagonist in our story. I never was. I was just a character. A well-placed piece. In something she had been building. For a very long time. And now, for the first time, I had the feeling that in the final act, I don't make it out. The weeks that followed felt like a quiet war. Not the loud kind. No shouting. No slammed doors. Just silence. Watching. Waiting. I didn't say a word about the phone. Or Julian. Instead, I became something else. A ghost. In my own home. I watched her. Every movement. Every habit. While pretending to be the same oblivious husband she thought she knew. I installed a keylogger on our home computer. Yeah, I know how that sounds. A complete violation of privacy. But when you start suspecting that your wife's dead ex-fiancé might not be dead, privacy stops being a priority. What I found wasn't just an affair. It was an execution. Sarah wasn't just a freelance designer. Not even close. She was working as a ghostwriter for a network of shell companies. High-end, clean-looking. The kind that exists just long enough to move money and disappear. And over the last 3 years, she'd been siphoning money, slowly, carefully, from our joint savings, into an offshore account, Cayman Islands. But here's the part that didn't make sense. She wasn't just taking my money. She was taking hers too, liquidating everything. Accounts, assets, piece by piece, moving it somewhere I couldn't touch. I remember just sitting there, staring at the screen, thinking, why? If she wanted out, she could have just divorced me. No kids, no complications, clean break. But this wasn't leaving. This was preparation. That's when I found the folder, hidden deep in a password-protected cloud drive, labeled travel. It wasn't travel plans, not even close. It was documents, scanned files, new passports, fake identities, names I'd never seen before. And then there was one more file, a death certificate, mine. I remember my hands going cold as I opened it. It was dated 2 months from now. Cause of death, accidental drowning. And just like that, everything snapped into place. We had a trip planned. Maine, lake house, my 35th birthday. A surprise she'd been working on for months. Secluded cabin, no cell service, just us. My stomach turned. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I started documenting everything. Every file, every transfer, every message. Then I went to a private investigator. Miller. He looked like a man who ran on cigarettes and bad decisions. The kind of guy who's seen too much and stopped being surprised a long time ago. He took one look at the photo from Mexico, then the burner phone logs, and he let out a low whistle. Kid, he said, you're not in a marriage. He leaned back in his chair, eyes narrowing slightly. You're in a long con. My chest tightened. This guy, Julian, he continued. He didn't die in a car crash. A pause. He went to prison. Another pause. Longer this time. Insurance fraud. I felt something sink inside me. He got out 4 years ago, Miller added. Right around the time your perfect life started getting expensive. And just like that, the whole thing started to make sense. Sarah didn't choose me because she loved me. She chose me because I was stable, predictable, insured, a high-value target, wrapped in trust. I was the golden goose, and she was just waiting for the right moment to cook me. So I decided to test her. One evening, I came home, acted normal, and dropped it casually. I think we should cancel the main trip. She froze, just for a second. I'm stressed with work, I added. Maybe we stay home, do something low-key. And then, I saw it. The mask slipped. Her face went pale, then red. Her hands gripped the counter, tight enough to turn her knuckles white. No, the word came out sharper than she intended. Mark, you need this, she said quickly. We need this. Her voice softened, but something underneath it didn't. I already paid the deposit, she continued. It's a beautiful cabin, very secluded. A slight pause. No cell service. Another pause. Just us. I tilted my head slightly. Just us. She stepped closer, wrapped her arms around my neck. Smiling. Of course, she said softly. Who else would be there? The jasmine hit me again. Thick, suffocating, like it was trying to crawl into my lungs. That night, I woke up suddenly. 2 a.m. The bed beside me was cold. I sat up slowly, listening, and then I heard it, whispering, coming from the basement. I got out of bed, walked down the hallway, each step careful, silent. The door was slightly open. I pushed it just enough to see inside. Sarah stood near the workbench, back turned, phone pressed to her ear. "He's getting suspicious," she whispered. A pause. "No, Julian, listen to me." My heart stopped. "We can't wait," she said. "We have to move the timeline up." Another pause. "He's looking at the finances." I felt my chest tighten. "I saw him on the computer today." Silence. She was listening now. Then her voice changed. Colder. Sharper. "I know what to do." A beat. "The stairs in this house are old." My grip tightened on the doorframe. "An accidental fall tonight," she said quietly, "is just as good as a drowning in August." Everything inside me went still. "Just be ready," she added. "I'll meet you at the trailhead in an hour." She hung up and started walking toward the stairs, toward me. I stepped back slowly, heart pounding, but my face calm. I didn't run. I didn't hide. I went to the kitchen, picked up the heaviest cast iron skillet we owned, and waited. The hallway felt darker than usual, narrower, like it was closing in. Then I heard it. Footsteps on the stairs. Slow, measured. Her head came into view first, and in that moment, I didn't see my wife. I saw a predator. But there was one thing. She didn't know. I hadn't just gone to a PI. I'd gone to the police, the district attorney. For the past 3 weeks, everything had been documented, prepared, waiting. She reached the top of the stairs, not even looking at me. Her eyes were on the floor, probably deciding where I'd slipped. "Sarah," I said quietly. She jumped, a small scream escaping her. "Mark, you scared me." Her voice shaky. "Too fast. What are you doing up?" I stepped into the light. "Checking the stairs," I said calmly. "I heard they can be dangerous." She froze, really looked at me this time. The act was gone. She glanced at the skillet in my hand, then back at my face. No tears, no panic, just acceptance. She let out a long breath. "Well," she said quietly, "this is awkward." And then, the front door exploded open. I expected the police to rush in. Lights, shouting, control. That's what I had prepared myself for. But the man who stepped through the door wasn't a cop. It was Julian. He looked worse in person, taller than the photos, leaner, with a jagged scar running down his cheek, and eyes that looked like sleep had abandoned them years ago. He was holding a wrench. Heavy, solid, final. "I told you he was smart, Sarah," he said. His voice dry, worn down. "You always underestimate the quiet ones." I backed toward the kitchen island, lifting the skillet slightly, trying to steady my breathing. "The police are on their way," I said. "They'll be here any second." Julian smiled. Not amused, not nervous, just empty. "Mark," he said softly. "Buddy, I didn't pull into your driveway." A pause. "I've been living in your crawl space for 3 days." My stomach dropped. Hard. "Your security system," he added with a small shrug, "is a joke." And suddenly, everything made sense. The noises at night, the creaking, the missing food, the feeling that I wasn't alone. It wasn't the house. It was him. Sarah stepped forward, standing beside him. And just like that, she was gone. Not physically, but the person I knew was gone. What stood there looked like her, but it wasn't my wife. "It didn't have to be like this, Mark," she said quietly, almost disappointed. "If you'd just stayed in your lane," she continued, "you would have died happy." A small pause. "At the lake house." Her eyes locked onto mine. Cold. Precise. "Now," she said softly, "it's going to be messy." Another pause. "And I hate a mess." Julian stepped forward. The wrench lifted slightly, and for a second, everything slowed down. I tightened my grip on the skillet. Heart pounding. Breath uneven. Ready to fight. For something I wasn't even sure I still had. Then, lights. Red and blue. Flashing across the walls. Sirens. Cutting through the silence. Getting closer. Julian froze. Sarah didn't. "Go," she hissed. "Back door. Now." He didn't argue. Didn't hesitate. He turned and ran. But I wasn't letting him disappear. Not after everything. I threw the skillet. It missed him, but it slammed into the china cabinet. Glass exploding outward. Shards scattering across the floor like ice. Julian slipped. His footing gone. That was enough. I lunged. We hit the ground hard. I'm not a fighter. Never have been. But in that moment, I wasn't thinking. I was done being hunted. We rolled across the floor. Glass digging into my arms. Sharp, burning, but distant. He swung the wrench. It connected with my shoulder. A flash of pain. White. Blinding. I screamed. But I didn't let go. I heard Sarah yelling. Not my name. His. That hurt more than the wrench. Then the door burst open. Police. Finally. They rushed in, shouting, grabbing, pulling us apart. Hands forced behind my back. Cold metal around my wrists. He's the one. I shouted. Breath ragged. Voice breaking. He's been living here. She tried to kill me. Everything blurred after that. 3 hours. That's how long it took at the station. 3 hours. To untangle a nightmare. Sarah tried to flip it. Of course she did. Said I snapped. Said Julian was just an old friend who came to protect her. It almost worked. Until Miller walked in. Same tired eyes. Same cigarette-stained presence. But this time, he was carrying everything. Files. Recordings. Proof. He had bugged the house 2 days earlier, while Sarah was at yoga, and he had it all. Every word. Every plan. The stairs. The timeline. Me. Julian is back in prison now. Attempted murder. Conspiracy. Sarah is waiting for trial. Her lawyers are trying everything. Diminished capacity. Mental instability. But it's hard to sell that story when you've got offshore accounts and 3 passports hidden in your nightstand. I'm back in the house. It's quiet now. Too quiet. The police cleared the crawl space. They found a sleeping bag, empty water bottles, and a photo. Sarah and Julian. From 10 years ago. Smiling. Happy. Planning. This didn't start with me. I wasn't chosen. I was selected. An investment. I sat at the dining table tonight. The one she picked. She used to say, it represented our forever. There's still a faint smell of jasmine in the curtains. I've tried washing it out. Again and again. It doesn't leave. It's like it's part of the house now. Sometimes, I sit there, and I wonder, was any of it real? The laughs, the trips, the way she looked at me on our wedding day. Was that love? Or was she just that good? But the worst part isn't the betrayal. It's this. Every time I hear a car outside, I still look at the door. A small part of me expects her to walk in, smile, laugh, tell me it was all a joke. A terrible, twisted joke. And then I remember the death certificate. She didn't just want my money. She wanted me gone. Erased. I'm selling the house next week, leaving everything behind. But I know something now. It doesn't matter where I go. I'll always look over my shoulder. Because Julian gets out in 15 years. And Sarah was always good at finding a way out. So if there's one thing I learned, trust your gut. If you smell jasmine where it shouldn't be, don't look for the spill. Look for the thing hiding in your walls. Because sometimes the house isn't haunted. You just let the wrong people inside.